the days when you get up in the morning and walk out. I go to my greenhouse. I do my my walkabout the property and look at things and
it's
check
just
for
lovely.
No, it's just a beautiful day.
The mornings are gorgeous, and the evenings are lovely, and we're pretty lucky.
We have to just appreciate this time of year because we are gardeners. We are gardeners. Don and Ken, the Flower Pot Men, are here to help you with your gardening questions. This is the AM 1150 Garden Show, and this is the time, other than saying Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there for tomorrow, this is the time we do the tip of the week. So let's do it. My tip of the week is, so you've just brought home a new hanging basket. Make sure it doesn't dry out. Because that's what's happened to us. We let ours dry out a little bit. Boy, bad mistake, because they really don't come back as well as they should, or they might. And begin a feeding program sooner than later, because the more you water, the more you got to feed, and just keep that in mind. Keep your hanging baskets. It's just a little too early right now to have a hanging basket deteriorate. That's the July thing, not a May thing.
Exactly.
My plant of the week is, and I'm wondering whether we got the same plant of the week because they are showing off all over town, Cercis canadensis.
Nope.
Okay. Cercis canadensis, the eastern redbud, fabulous tree.
Yeah, lots of them around.
You know, when I was young, Ken, younger, I'm young still, but younger, of course, when I was like in my teens and just getting into the business and learning about trees and shrubs, I didn't know what a redbud was.
No.
Like they weren't around. I don't know when they got introduced, but there's no real old redbuds around.
Not too old, but 40.
Yeah, I'm thinking 30, 40 years.
Yeah,
but
there's
not,
some 30, 40.
Not
but
50,
not
60 years.
Yeah. Yep, they're a tricky one only because they're acid-loving, and that's why maybe we don't see them as much, but they seem to adapt.
They seem to
be adapting.
Darwin's theory of evolution, they're
adapting.
coming on board.
I know, there's some really good ones. Yeah. All right, that's my tips and plants. Or no,
that's my tips
That's
and
your
plants.
tips and plants.
There we go.
There you go. All right, well, my tip is that when you're watering plants in pots, always make sure that you cover the entire surface of the soil with water. Then pause for about 5 minutes, and then come back and actually give it its watering. And what that does is it preps the soil to take the water and make sure that we're getting the whole surface moist, and it just makes that watering so much more efficient. So that's what I do, and that's what I think you should do. All right, my plant of the week this week is Primula auricula, the little primula plant that's one of my favorites, a leather leaf primula. It's kind of a collector's plant, but, you know, I'm starting to get a really nice collection, and I'm going to start putting them up on Instagram and Facebook, only because they're just such cheerful little plants in the garden. So that's my tips and plants for this week. Remember to check growercoach.com.
Ken, that's great. Elaine Cameron always talked about her Primula auricula.
Yeah.
Is
there still some there, do you think? I wonder.
It's hard to say. It's really hard to say what was there when she was there and what wasn't. I know a few plants that were there, the tamarisk and the a few other plants for sure. A couple of roses, big, yeah. But as far as the begonia or the the various perennials go, I don't know. Mm-hmm. Now, speaking of primula, Ken, I have a picture of one that I took at your home, and I'm just going to look it up here because I can't remember the name of it. But it was something that I didn't even think it was a primula. It looked more like a whatever. I don't know what it looked like, but it is a primula.
It's the little pointy topped one.
Yeah, it's called Primula vallei.
Yes,
and boy, you look at that. Where do you see when you say to me, Don? The way you tell a plant is in the same family, same genus, is the blossom.
Is the flower.
Where the heck do you find a primula?
That looks like that, yeah.
That looks like that. I mean...
It is a weird one, yeah.
It's just... It's really weird. It's a weird one. Now, is the leaf... I'm not sure if the leaf is
it's primula-like.
It is?
Yeah, it's just like the sort of primula, a callus type, sort of a little bit of a...
Okay.
They're just, they're not super vigorous. They're acid-loving, that particular one. Mm-hmm. So not super long-lived. You know, there's a few primulas that are not long-lived. Like Primula, that's vallei. Yeah, what a cool one, eh?
Yeah. And
it's little pointed guys. It's got a little orange cap on the top that's pointed, and then a little cone of sort of
it almost looks like one
pink-colored
of those
flowers.
Turkish hats, with the turbans with the point in them.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, Valii is a different variety for sure. Vesii, sorry. Which one is it? Was it?
Well, I've got Valii written down. Do you think that's what it is? I mean, I
we'll
could be
have
wrong.
to check. Yeah. It's not common. That one I got that through a seed company.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so we planted little seedlings in, and
so you don't have it anymore.
No.
Well, I've lucked out then to be able to see that in your
Well,
yard.
and to have a picture of it. I wouldn't mind if you sent me that picture because I don't have a picture of any of those.
I can send you that picture, Ken. That was, now you're taking lots and lots of photographs, right?
Yeah.
Especially with the camera, with the phone camera, and it's a fabulous.
Yeah.
Look, I don't think I've used my regular camera for about 2 years now.
Yeah.
But
and especially, I find that the new, like I've got a newer phone, so I think it's 46 megapixels or something, and it's that's good enough. That does a nice job.
The pictures you take with your camera are good magazine quality, or not with your camera, but with your phone is magazine quality.
I'm not sure how big they blow up to, but but it's still you can't really beat the DSLR big lenses and stuff.
Yeah.
They're pretty spectacular, but I don't really know enough about it even to comment. But I just love the ease.
Yeah. Yeah,
because I'm looking at the time, looking at my phone, and checking my schedule, and reading my emails, and then I can take a picture and a video, and I can do all kinds of things. It's kind of fun.
Yeah. Well, back then when I was in your yard and I took pictures of this primula, I was taking lots of pictures, and that was both with my old Pentax film camera, and then I changed to in 2006. I changed to the digital.
Digital, yeah.
But no, it's great. I've got so darn many plant pictures. It's ridiculous. But and there'll be more to come too, especially all these botanic gardens that I try and visit as much as I can.
Yeah, you've got fabulous pictures.
Yeah, there's some great pictures. Well, 250-862-2525 to get through to Ken and I today. We've got a great show ahead, and we really invite your calls because that's really what makes the show as well. We always say it's like talking over the back fence, talking gardening, and the good, the bad, and the bugly, that kind of thing. Now, I sent you a picture of my radishes. Something is attacking them.
Oh, yes.
And I haven't had the time to go out and search out. What would I do, Ken, would I go out at night?
I would take a little string and make a little snare out of a string and put it over the hole in the side of the radish. And then when the little whatever it is comes along and steps in the snare, bam, you got it. Not sure if that would work, but
yeah, well,
that might not work.
I never know when you're joking and when you're not joking. That's the problem. I think you're joking, but yeah.
Well, no, you're right though. I don't know. It's interesting. Oh, so it's what we think it is potentially a beetle larva, chinch bug or June bug larva, something that's underground. Now, they know what's day and what's night, but when they're underground, do they care?
And the interesting thing is, as you could see, some of it was an older injury because it had calloused over and they stopped eating. Yeah. And then on one of the radishes, it was just slightly, the skin had slightly been compromised, and you could tell that something was chewing at it.
Do you think it would be wireworm? I don't know.
Wireworm goes right inside.
Yeah, that's why
they
they're
kind
skinny,
of burrow in.
Right,
they burrow in, and they
don't just chomp on the outside like an apple.
This is a weird situation. I got to find out what it is because somebody's going to ask me at some point.
What the heck's that? Yeah. Well, got to figure it out. I guess what you could do is you could take a shovel full of soil out of that area and put it through a little fine screen and screen it and see what you find.
We'll get it one of Donna's screens from the kitchen.
Yeah, it could be sitting. Like within 6 inches of that thing, and you would never know.
You just never know. We are welcoming Louise to the show. Nice to have you with us, Louise.
Yes, good morning. Hi, I've got a question. 2 weeks ago, I transplanted a rose. It's about 15 years old, and I got as much root as I possibly could, and it's pretty scary looking. I've been watering it I've been feeding it. Is there any advice? Because I'd really hate to lose it.
And when did you do the transplant?
About 2 weeks ago.
Okay. So it had some foliage on it when you transplanted it?
Yes.
And now that foliage is wilted?
Yes.
I would back off on the fertilizer, okay? It doesn't need fertilizer and definitely needs the moisture. I've got a feeling that we might be okay. It's early enough. You might lose that initial foliage, but it'll push again. And you might want to cut that rose back. How far back did you cut it?
I didn't, and that was my next question.
Okay, how big is the rose right? How big is the rose right now?
Probably 3 feet high.
Oh yeah, cut it right back. Cut it right down to about 1.5 feet high.
Okay.
Okay, and
that's my question.
I think you'll be good.
Yeah,
good. Well, I'm happy to hear that.
It'll take some time, but
Okay,
Ken and I have both whispered in that rose's ear, "Smarten up."
Oh, good. Well, thank you. And one more other quick question. I had a Christmas amaryllis. How do I store the bulb? Or do I?
Well, yeah, I can send you my sheet on how to take care of your amaryllis, but you don't want to store the bulb right now. The bulb wants to grow. The bulb itself is there, and you want the foliage to grow and treat it like a houseplant. I plant mine right out in the garden. And you could do that now. Where are you located?
In West Kelowna.
Okay. Way up high or down sort of lower?
Down below, so we're not high.
Okay. If you're not way up high, then you can plant it out in the garden right now in a nice sunny location. Grow it all summer long.
Okay.
Yeah, grow it all summer long, and then in about late August, you can lift it up, cut the top off, and let it dry out. And then replant it sometimes putting it in the fridge in a paper bag in the crisper in the fridge helps for a little while if you put it in there for a few weeks. But if you send for my sheet on amaryllis, I'll send that to you.
And how do I do that?
You just email Dawn at thegardenexpert.com.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome, Louise.
Okay, have a great day.
You too.
Thanks for calling.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
On that note, we've got to take a short break.
We do.
We've got another caller on the line, and we invite more calls, 250-862-2525 to get through to Ken and I today. And we'll be back with more AM 1150. We are back with you, and we want to welcome Phil on the line. Good morning, Phil.
Phil, hello.
Hey, Phil.
How you doing?
Good morning. Happy Saturday.
Yeah, happy Saturday to you.
I was wondering about, I have container plants, done it for about 3 years. I've been gardening for forever. That doesn't mean I'm any good at it. But anyway, I have tomatoes, and I have lots of peppers because those are my passion, and odds and ends of other stuff. I put them out and watching the weather 2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. And they've been out, and then I covered them, kind of freaking out, when it gets down to +3 or something. Mm-hmm. They're doing just really, really good, okay? They're all healthy. So I was on the internet the other day, for what that's worth, and one of the gentlemen on there, just to see if there's any validity to this, he said, it's not a good idea, he says, to put out your plants early while they'll freeze. But, if you don't do that, but if you're healthy, he says what it will do is stunt their growth. That's my question. Because I put them out 2 weeks earlier, and let's say the weather's fine from here on in, will that 2 week period, even though they didn't freeze, stunt their growth overall or not?
Well, if you listen to the farmers, when Dominic Gramponi calls in, and he's farmed and done tomatoes for
years and years,
like centuries, actually. Mm-hmm. Well, not centuries, but the farmers won't put their tomatoes out till at least the 24th of May weekend.
It's usually
and sometimes into June.
Yeah.
Because they need 10 to 12 degree centigrade Celsius at night to not shock them. Now, what you want to do, Phil, just for fun, because that's what gardening's about, and I think you're a darn good gardener. I think what you want to do is just get a couple more plants and save them and put some out on the 24th of May weekend. And see if you can get a control there and put them beside your ones that you put out early and see if there is a difference.
Yeah, bring in like say tonight, it's going to go down to 2 or 3 risk of frost tonight, is what I've heard.
Yeah.
And so I would just bring those all in. But let's say tomorrow night, it's supposed to be 5 degrees or something. So bring some of them in and leave some of them out. And you do your own experiments, see what happens. Because I have a bunch of my tomato plants in a little greenhouse, but I have no heat in there. But I know it goes down to about 2 or 3 degrees in there. Like when it's freezing outside, it's about 2 or 3 in there.
Right.
And they do not like that. The tomato plants, they're I've got all kinds of plants in there, annuals, all kinds of things that are tender, that really shouldn't freeze. But those tomatoes, they tell you when it gets cold, they get down to 2 to 3 degrees, the whole plant just starts to wilt and like it's got plenty of water. So, but they're healthy and they do come back, but they don't like it.
Okay, that's all good information. And I'm looking at them right now, and they're saying, you guys are wrong. They're looking at me saying, no, I'm just fine and dandy. And they are.
Perfect.
Right?
Yeah, there you
But,
go.
Well, yeah, I put mine out a week and a half ago, too, a couple of plants. One of them, I've got an experiment going on. One of them, I've got a heating cable underneath it. Mm-hmm. I wrapped a heating cable around the root zone, and then I've got it plugged in permanently. And the other one, 2 feet away from it, has no heating cable. So I'm going to be interested to see how that works. And, I have to keep, Phil, I understand what you're saying. I mean, for decades, people have said to me, I put my tomatoes out as soon as the danger of frost is over, and I'm fine with that. And sometimes people put a box over them at night and all sorts of stuff. And they said, that's why I do that every year. However, now, one of the reasons I think the farmers wait is because if there's any chance of frost, they could lose hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of plants. Whereas you're not going to lose hundreds of plants. You just replant the darn things because you only have 5 or 6, whatever,
So are you saying that they erred on the side of caution, and then it kind of morphed into the fact that don't plant them before the 24th?
Yeah, I think that's...
They grow better?
Well, there's also this other factor. Like I used to grow hothouse cucumbers and tomatoes, and I did that for quite a few years and on a commercial basis. And we have like huge books of, from the universities of studies that go on with tomato plants. And they tell us exactly what's your day temperature and what's your night temperature. So we can set it because we're in a greenhouse. So what is the optimum night temperature? 16 degrees Celsius. So that's our night. And then our daytime temperatures should not exceed 85 degrees Celsius. So this is
not 85 degrees Celsius.
Sorry, 85 degrees Fahrenheit, which would be about 29 degrees Celsius, somewhere in that range. And so we would set those temperatures, and holy man, and that nighttime temperature is for optimum pollination, optimum fruit set, optimum everything, right? So that's all that is that's what's recommended if you're growing them commercially. So. Yeah.
Okay, well, no, all good information, but as I stand here right now, like
they look green.
Well, no, they're fine and dandy. It just kind of freaked me out because I was thinking, well, that's nice. So I'll have tomatoes. I'll have tomatoes, but they'll only be 2 feet tall, and I'll have one tomato per plant or something.
You just want to do that experiment I'm telling you. You got them out there. They're in the ground. Let them be.
Are they in the ground or are they in pots?
No, they're in the ground.
No. I got, you said bring them in. If I brought them in, I'd be here till next Wednesday because I got about 25 plants in containers, all good soil and everything.
Oh, in containers. Okay. Well, well, bring a couple of them in then.
Mm-hmm. I will.
And then see which ones do better. I don't know. That's what gardening's about, and that's what this show's all about, having some fun. Yeah. Phil, we got to go to the next caller here.
Okay, thanks for your help. I'll keep you posted. Thank you.
Thank you, buddy.
Yeah,
okay,
thanks,
take care.
Bye.
Bye now.
Bye.
And that's what we're going to do. We're going right to the next caller, and we got Linda, please. Good, joining us.
Guys.
Hi, Linda.
Good morning.
Hi. First of all, I want to say you're so valuable for those of us that move to the valley from other parts of the country and learn how to grow things in this climate. So I really appreciate your program every Saturday morning. My question is, I've got a fern peony I got from my mom who has since left us, and I really want to make sure it thrives here. I did transplant it to an area. It wasn't doing well in a kind of a shaded area, so I did transplant it to an area that's got a lot of sun, protected sort of against the house. The challenge I've got, and that was about 2 years ago, it has lovely foliage, but I don't get a bloom anymore.
Yeah. They are finicky plants at times. They often thrive on neglect. A little bit dry conditions seem to be best.
Okay.
They are predominantly around through the springtime and early summer, and then go dormant through the winter. It's a Peony tenuifolia, is the botanical name.
Yeah.
So, really good plants. We found that they were very difficult to grow because we used to grow commercially, perennial plants, including a bunch of different peonies. And that was one we always wanted to grow. And one of the reasons we wanted to grow it is because nobody had it. And then I found out, why nobody grows it is because they all die of root rot from overwatering in nurseries. And so then I thought, then we're going to have to grow it in a special location where it doesn't get overwatered. And this is what some of the nurseries have figured out, is that it just can't stand soggy conditions. So they put it in extra porous soil in the pots, and they grow it carefully without overwatering, often hand-watered. And then you'll see if you go to buy one in a garden center, they're usually about 5 times more expensive than your average peony.
Yeah, they're really crazy.
Yeah, but they're so beautiful.
Yeah.
And so with yours not blooming, I think that it's just going to be a patience thing, and I think that you might have to sort of ignore it a little bit. The only feeding I would ever do with those plants is with compost on the surface, and I would definitely make sure that it does go dry between waterings. Okay. And it does need to have full sun, because I've got them out in areas where they're just a blast of heat and sun, and they're awesome. Yeah.
And it's okay against the house, or sort of against the house.
As long as it's sunny, yeah.
Yeah, it's very, very sunny, yeah.
Yeah, it should be all right.
So just leave it alone and don't water it too much.
Linda,
seems like it,
and they have, we got to take a short break here, but I'll tell you this. Those Japanese fernleaf peonies have a brain. And they listen, because the one we have, every year it starts to kind of open, and then it's there, it looks kind of neat, and then the flowers fade really quickly. And Donna, my wife, said to it this spring, if it doesn't smarten up, it's going. No, actually, she said, I think we should get rid of that thing because it's not doing well in the garden.
Yes.
And I think it heard her, because this year it is fabulous. I've never seen it so good.
There you go.
The blooms are opening nicely. You send me an email, dawn@thegardenexpert.com, Linda, and ask for a picture of this tree, this fernleaf peony. It'll make you drool. And you'll be very jealous, I'm sure.
Feel free to send us pictures of your tree peony, or your fernleaf peony, and see, so we can maybe get a clue too if it's suffering from any disorders.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So what's the email again?
Well,
sorry?
There's two. There's Dawn at thegardenexpert.com.
Okay.
And there's Ken at growercoach.com.
Okay, I will definitely send you a pic, because I really need it to come out nice. It's a keepsake for my mom, and I really just...
for sure. No, those are very special plants.
Yeah.
And if you get Dawn and my wife to come over and talk to it, it might come on. Okay.
Take care, guys. Bye.
You betcha.
Right, thanks for calling. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now. And we've got to take that short break. After that, we've got Dan Bruce coming up, and we're going to talk lots of stuff. I don't know what he's got up his sleeve, but he'll give us a hummingbird report as well.
Yeah,
so
awesome.
When we come back with more AM 1150 Garden. We are back with you, and I would assume that person waiting online would be Dan Bruce. Good morning, Dan.
Hello.
Take a deep breath, Dan, and say hello.
Yes, I'm here.
All right.
Good. What's up your sleeve today, Dan?
Well, apart from the obvious.
An arm.
So, people say, how do they identify hummingbirds? And one of the little things about the black-chinned hummingbird is that when they're at a feeder, the black-chinned hummingbird wags its tail up and down.
Oh.
Whereas the rufous and calliopes keep the tail rigid.
Okay.
So that's a quick and easy way to determine if it's a black-chinned out there, because sometimes you see the quite often you see the hummingbird almost in silhouette because where the feeder is hanging, and it's hard to see the color.
Mm-hmm.
But that tail wagging up and down.
Up and down, not sideways, up and down.
Not sideways, up and down.
Uh-huh.
Gives you the fact that it's a black-chinned.
Well, that is good information. And a black-chinned, does it have a black mark under its chin?
Black to deep purple.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Now, are all hummingbirds the same size, or?
No. The smallest one here is the calliope, and then there's the rufus. Rufus and black-chinned are about the same size, and then the larger one is the Anna's hummingbird.
Mm-hmm. Now, did you name your dog Rufus after the hummingbird, or did
No.
Oh.
My dog Rufus was named after William II, the son of William the Conqueror, whose nickname was Rufus because he was a redhead, and a bad-tempered one at that.
Okay, there you go. Now, you know I'm related to William the Conqueror, eh?
Distantly, yes.
Yes. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
so, have we got a botanist online today?
We have a plant.
A plant? Well, that's good.
Well, this time of year, everybody's sort of messing around out there, and quite often the petunia is involved.
Mm-hmm.
And the people up at the greenery have a huge selection of petunias. However, if you're looking for geraniums, you better be quick because they're going fast.
Mm-hmm.
Petunia is an interesting plant. It's related to the potato and the tomato.
Okay.
Solanaceae, native of South America. And the name is actually a Tupinamba Aboriginal Brazilian name for tobacco.
Okay.
Petun. And what happened, by some not very mysterious means, the name Petun was brought into the English language as a name for tobacco, and it got transferred to a group of First Nations peoples living in Ontario. And so among the Iroquois and the Huron, there's a group that call themselves the Petun, or Tobacco Indians.
Mm-hmm.
So that is where the name Petunia comes from.
So it actually has a Canadian connection.
Yes.
Cool.
Brazil via Canada.
Yeah.
But when Europeans first arrived in the Western Hemisphere and started looking around, they saw certain things that were familiar to them from their life in Europe. And so there was no question about what those things were. But then there was a whole lot of things that were new, and they had to ask the locals what they were called. For example, when the Spanish first arrived in the Caribbean, they saw flamingos, and they were not in any doubt because flamingos live in the southern part of France and parts of Spain. So they knew perfectly well what those things were called. But then they saw some other plants and objects so that they'd never seen before. And so they asked the Taino Indians, well, what do you call that? And in one instance, for example, they said, that fruit on that tree there that tastes so good is called a guanabana. So the Spanish learnt that, And when they proceeded on from the Caribbean to Mexico, they saw the same thing growing. They had no need to ask the Mexican locals what they were called because they'd already met that thing out in the islands. So by that means you get a Taino Indian name transferred to another part of the New World.
Interesting.
And I think that is how the Petun name got transferred from Brazil to Canada.
And then stretched it out to Petunia.
And then, of course, when Carl Linnaeus got the whole naming of things organized, the word was chosen, and Petunia became the scientific name of the plant. And
so that's interesting. That the fact that that there are people are always shy away from using scientific names because they're big, but Petunia is the scientific name.
Yes, and people pronounce it daily without any problem at all. Their tongue doesn't fall out.
Exactly. Their head doesn't screw off.
And I always smile about this. They can't handle the scientific names, but you go to any small child and show them a picture of a dinosaur, and the child will rattle off its scientific name without batting an eye.
Exactly.
No problem at all.
It's such a wise thing and a fun thing to do. I didn't really start using scientific names for plants on an ongoing basis until I was about 35 years old, Dan. I just I used some, but I wasn't fascinated by the meanings behind them and how they describe the plant and where it came from and who named it, and those are such interesting things rather than just saying creeping Jenny,
Exactly.
But anyway, Dan, we've got to move forward here. We always appreciate your input here on the Garden Show. It's always fun. You come up with so many neat things, and you're a cool guy. We appreciate it.
Well, I'm off to Fintry pretty much right away, so we will be back with you next week with some more.
Well, it would be a beautiful day out at Fintry today. This time of year and seeing things starting to pop. See that big, huge beech growing there, that big weeping beech. Man, it's a beautiful tree.
Yes, that is really doing quite well, and so is the copper beech at the other end that overlooks Alice's grave site.
Oh wow! It's an amazing thing, and those have been there for a long time.
Well, James Dunwaters planted those, yes, and
wow.
they may have been brought from Britain as small trees, as seedlings.
Well, I don't think he went to Burnetts and bought them.
But he should have.
There you go. Dan, thank you, buddy. We'll hear from you again next week. We appreciate it.
Okay.
Take care.
Dan. Take care.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that Dan Bruce is something else. We're going to take a short break now. We've got 15 minutes left on the first part of the show, and then we've got a whole rip-roaring hour after that. So stay tuned and give us a call, 250-862-2525. We'll be back with more AM 1150. Right on. We are back with you, and we have Linda joining us. Good morning, Linda.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
I have a question. Is there a company or organization actively collecting native plants and soils from lands that are being developed locally?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. I don't believe so. But I wonder.
I mean, there are some native plant nurseries around that are quite good.
They're just growing. Yeah, they're growing native species.
And what you're saying is that, like, some of these developments that are up, in the mountains and whatnot, I can cite one situation at Gallagher's development there where where I was the landscape coordinator up there for a few years, and so some of the builders would come in and start pounding away on the native plants, and I'd say to them, "Look, back off, mark off those native areas, because that's the ultimate xeriscape. Once you disturb those areas, then you get weeds coming in. But if you don't disturb those areas, the home can have this large area in the back that's natural, and you don't have to water it; it just does its thing. But what you're saying, of course, is because Ken's often said, and it's the truth, you don't want to be going out collecting plants in the wild. It's not a good thing for the environment to be ripping plants out of the wild. But you're saying if something's being developed, they might as well score the plants, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if anybody's out there doing that. I know that when they expanded the highway, and I was really wanting to go there, when they did a road expansion up on the Hope Princeton Highway through that rhododendron forest. There's some, I don't think they're native. I think somebody planted them there. But anyway, there's all these rhododendrons up there in that area. And when they expanded the highway, of course, some of these rhododendrons were being destroyed. And so people were going up there trying to dig a few out just to see what they could do. Mm-hmm. I didn't get to go up there. I was so busy running a garden center that I wasn't able to do that. But, yeah, it's a good question, Linda.
Yeah, it's just a shame that they're not being saved or reused locally.
Yeah, it's very difficult to keep them alive. Like true. When they're dug out, is that they, even if you're, even an expert like myself, if I've gone in the past, like years and years and years ago, way back, 30, 40 years ago, I would go out and try to find some of these species, and I would just collect one or something and bring it back. I felt like I was a bit of a botanist, but I would bring that thing back, and no matter what, it was a challenge to get those things to survive, because they don't want a bunch of water. They just want to be left alone is what they want. And
they have such a taproot, a lot of them. Like I've tried to take lupins when these lupins are growing on the up at Bullman Lake and various lakes on the dams, the earthen dams. There was lots of lupins growing, and I thought I want to get some of these native lupins, and so I've tried several times. And I mean I'm taking them from the dam, and they're constantly cleaning that sort of thing up anyway, so I didn't feel I was taking anything from the wild. And I tried my darndest to get a lupin to survive. And it's tough. And mind you, the other thing is elevation. Some of these alpines just don't want to live down here. So it's tough. But, as far as, saving plants and saving trees on lands that's being developed, it takes, like Ken said, it takes an expert to go in there and appraise what can be saved, what should be saved, what can be moved and transplanted and whatnot. And when it comes to native plants that are established in the wild, it's tough to move these things and get them reestablished. Mm-hmm. Collecting seed is another story, though. Mm-hmm.
Well, collecting them on the roadside, I don't think that there would be an issue with that, because you can start experimenting with those on the roadsides.
Yeah, it's just
or backcountry roadsides.
I'm pretty sure it's still illegal to collect plants from the wild, and it's just because they just wanted to leave them alone, sort of thing. But yeah, you'd think that any of these areas where humans come along and disturb the ground, that would be fair game area. But I think it's still not recommended to ever recommend it, because then what happens is somebody starts, I'll just take it from the edge of the road, and then, there's one up here on this hill, and and they start expanding their area. So the general rule is just don't take plants from the wild. But areas that are being developed, I appreciate that, but I think, it needs to have a proper inventory done of what's there, and then somebody needs to say, like, these are just common everywhere, so it's not an issue, but some of these might be very rare and unusual, and very least collect the seed.
Yep. All right, thanks.
Okay, you're very welcome, Linda. Thanks for your input. Appreciate it.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay, bye.
Bye now. We've got Angie wondering if we can tell her how to get rid of Virginia creeper. well, with a lot of effort. Virginia creeper wants to be there.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to be your friend and stick with you. Digging it out is one method to do it. But you almost have to resort to something like Roundup to really get down and knock it out. It's a tough one. Once it's established, especially, it's a tough one.
Well, and it seeds everywhere.
And
so, like,
seeds,
if you say you find all the suckers and you pull out all the roots that are spreading everywhere, and the roots are shooting up and growing, so you pull all those out. But then, how many million seeds have you missed that are just sitting there, and they'll sprout over the next 5 years or whatever?
They're prolific. You got to recognize a lot of these seedy things, like maples and elm and things like that throw seeds around. You've got to be very aware of them when they first start to sprout, because that's when they can be eliminated. Because digging out an elm seedling, once it's established, is pretty tough. You got to get down there, because it's got a taproot that goes down like crazy.
2-3 feet sometimes. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, almost however high it is, that's how high how deep the root is.
The elms are tough. So you got to recognize them when the seeds are small. But Virginia creeper. I've got one growing up through my cedar hedge, and I just trim it along with the cedar hedge, so it adds a little color to the cedar hedge. I've got one growing in my rock wall in the front yard there that just happened by seed, and we keep the darn thing pruned right back. But it is quite effective on that wall. It's quite nice. But so it's a management situation with those guys. And people do plant them on purpose. I've seen Virginia creeper doing very, very well. I'd rather see Boston ivy, because
less
seedy and less apt to get the leaf hopper.
Still gets it, but just not as much.
Yeah, but that's not as much. They're both Parthenocissus. They're both the same genus, but two different species.
I hope that's helpful.
Yeah, thanks for the question, Angie. Now we're going to take a short break pretty quick here. We've got a few minutes left, a couple of minutes in this portion of the show.
Yeah.
The days, today is 15 hours and 5 minutes long, Ken. I knew you were waiting for this. 15 hours and 5 minutes long, 7 hours to the minute longer than the shortest day on December 22nd. And the longest day is coming up, and it'll be 16 hours and 21 minutes long. So we got an hour and 21 minutes stretch left in our days till we start getting shorter again.
Yeah. Does it vary, like, from morning to night? That's the question. Does it start to wane in the morning and get longer in the evening, or does it change?
It wanes once in a while here, but not as much this year.
No, it hasn't been waning at all.
No.
Yeah, but it is Mother's Day tomorrow, so we want to send out a big happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there, and to my lovely wife Wendy. She does such a wonderful job taking care of all of her family, all of us, and it's deeply appreciated. And to our mums that have come and gone, and they're just so deep in our hearts, and it's a wonderful thing. So we always think of them on Mother's Day.
And they're listening to the show right now.
They are, yeah.
And a happy Mother's Day to my dear wife Donna, and also my daughter Lindsay. She's a mom, and my sister Joan. She's a mom.
Yeah.
The dog Tika. She's not a mom.
No.
So all the moms. They're very special. Moms are so special. My mom in particular, because she was my mom, was a very special lady. And Dad always said I could never have done what I did without Mom. And, Dad got all the accolades. He was the one out front and everything. Oh, Ernie, you do such a good job. Hey, look in the back there. Who's organizing all the seeding program, and who's organizing the advertising, and who's doing...
That's the way it goes, yeah.
Poor Mom. Anyway. Yeah. So we're going to take that short break now, and look forward to your calls when we come back with more AM 1150 Garden. Kind of freak out Amber here. She waving her eyes because we're going back on the air.
Yes.
And I'm going, yes, okay. Here we go. She's a good girl.
We're half asleep.
Yeah, that's who you speak to when you give us a call. You talk to Amber. And do that, 250-862-2525 to get through. And, we were talking about Mother's Day. Mother's Day years ago when we were running a garden center and a flower shop, Mother's Day was a big one.
Yeah.
Because, at Valentine's Day and at Christmas, it's mostly all indoor stuff. You're dealing with the
flowers,
the lovers,
flower
and
arrangements,
whatever.
yeah.
Yeah. Mother's Day is complicated because you've got your bedding plants and nursery stock and perennials
Indoor,
and
outdoor,
going out and fertilizers and all that. And and then on top of that, all looking after all the moms. So it's a busy time, and Burnetts Florist on Bernard Avenue here is probably just flying, as all the flower shops are. Now we want to invite or welcome Henry to the show. Good morning, Henry.
Oh, hello.
Good morning.
Yeah, I want to know tulips. Now the tulips pretty well have blossomed, and so what do I do next?
Let the foliage replenish the bulb, Henry. You don't want to cut that foliage back until it shows signs of yellowing and dying out. Then you can cut it back safely. If you want to move them to a different location, ideally you should leave them there, mark them with a stick, and then dig them later on when the foliage dies down, and move them at that point. I have moved tulips. We used to do a huge amount of tulip planting in the spring at the Chevron stations, all the Chevron stations in Kelowna.
Oh, yeah.
We used to plant Red Emperor tulips and King Alfred daffodils, kind of tied in with their colors, right? And but after that, we would plant geraniums. So the tulips and the daffodils were always in the way, so we would dig them up, lift them, and we'd heel them in. Healing them in just means planting them in temporarily in a spot at the nursery. And but we wouldn't save them for the next year. The stations always wanted brand new bulbs because they do deteriorate a little bit with that digging them while they're still in leaf. They don't respond as well as if you wait. So
mine I planted probably 6-7 years ago, and they seem like they must be multiplying because they're so thick now that they. And so I was wondering, after they passed their first stage of drying out, can I dig them out and select my bulbs?
Absolutely. That's what the farmers do. That's what the producers.
And feeding right now, because they're, if they just finished blooming, give them some food because that's going to help the whole plant just grow a bit and puff up those bulbs nicely, Yeah. So feeding, as the blossoms are just finishing, you can start feeding and plump them up, get them good to go for next year.
But say if I dig them out, do I put them in a cool place for the summer, or what do I do with them?
You can just plant them back in right away. That's where they would be normally, is in the ground. So
I see. I
would just plant them and let them be in nature where they belong. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Awesome.
So fertilize them now.
Yep. Let them grow until they start to die back, and as soon as they start turning yellow, you can just cut them off, and then at that point, you're pretty much ready anytime around then to think about digging them up and sorting them by size and get the big ones back in. The small ones, if you wanted to put them all in a row somewhere just to grow them on for the future, because they will get bigger as well.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks very much.
Yep. Thanks for calling.
Right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Take care, and we will invite or welcome Peter with us. Good morning, Peter.
Hello.
Yeah. Hey. Good morning.
Good morning. I just wanted to ask you, our church garden, we've recently started it up, excuse me, and it's been turning over and we're working it up. And we've just got the soil analysis back, and we find that it's very low in sulfur, which I think is fairly bad news for like onions and various things. We do have some well-rotted cow manure to put on it, but I was just wondering if there's what you would suggest in order to raise the level of sulfur in the garden.
Yeah, sulfur is available in a pelletized form. So you can just purchase a product that's called pelletized sulfur. It used to be called Tiger 90. I don't know if that product still exists, but Pelletized sulfur is available, and you just can sprinkle those little pellets out over the top, rake them in a bit into the surface. Generally, each pellet needs to be about 1 inch to 2 inches apart. That seems to be adequate, and it lasts for each pellet. I've seen them even a year later, just slightly smaller, so they last a long time, and they just slowly disintegrate and add sulfur to the soil. So that's one method. If you want to go faster, you can use products like aluminum sulfate. You can apply that. That's another way to get it a little quicker acting. And then also the magnesium sulfate, which is Epsom salts, which is something you can add as well. And Epsom salts is quite a nice touch for a garden. And there's yet one more way, which is gypsum, which is calcium sulfate. And that product is one of the farmers' friends when it comes to breaking up clay soils and adding a little bit of sulfur and a little bit of calcium to the soil. Like, we have a lot of calcium here, so we're not usually worried about adding it. But still, gypsum is a nice product to add, and that's agricultural gypsum. So, yeah, it's available, again, pelletized.
Not drywall.
Not the drywall, yeah.
And do any of these things act quickly, or does it take time for things to break down?
Well, as I was saying, the quicker ones, I would say the top two fast ones are aluminum sulfate and then also the Epsom salts. Those are the two which are the quickest. You can even take Epsom salts and dissolve it in water and then water with it.
Yeah, that's quick.
That's really quick, yeah.
Oh, that's very interesting. That sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Peter.
Yep. Thanks for calling.
Okay, thanks.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, that's fascinating, soil science. You actually put on some seminars on soil science, which is very, very helpful. Any seminars coming up, Ken, or are you too busy?
Well, I'm definitely too busy, but this afternoon we're actually doing our planter. This is for planters and baskets, and it's a webinar, so you can just go to growercoach.com and you can click on the Learning tab up in the top left, and you can see there's a button that says webinars. You can go into that, and then you'll see it's really, I think, the only one we have listed right now. We are going to be having a few throughout the summer, which we'll be mentioning on the show here, as well as advertising on social media when they do come up, because we're looking at, again, plant identification has been one of the really popular ones where we just learn about different types of plants and different groups of plants. But today it's all about the annuals and planters and baskets, and just learning how we do it. Like in the past, our professional approach to it, as well as just really good tips and hints, and even on the varieties and the style, because there's a lot of things with style going on. So I'm sure I must have about 30 or 40 slides of different planter combinations. So there's some really cool ones that I think are really fun.
Well, that's great.
Fun to try.
The timing is perfect because this is when the bedding plants are being brought out.
Yeah,
the selection's still pretty good, and there you go. So how do people do that? They just go into growercoach.com?
Yeah, go to growercoach.com, click on the Learning tab, and then click on the webinars, and you'll see it's probably the only one coming up that's there will be planters and baskets. Perfect. And check it out. It's today at 1 p.m. You just sign up through the program, and then we send you an email link, and you just click on the link sometime right close to about 1 o'clock, and then it starts right at 1. So we're good to go.
I like that.
Yeah.
Each year, May is proclaimed Invasive Species Action Month.
Yes, there you go.
To raise awareness of invasive species and encourage the public to take action. Everyone can take action during Invasive Species Awareness Month and help prevent the spread of invasive species. Here are some ideas on how you can take part. You can enter What's in My Backyard Youth Photo Contest as an individual under 30 years old, or with your family, class, or youth group. Check out a variety of events that you can click on. You can participate in throughout May, taking place online and in person. Follow the on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and LinkedIn, and share the ISAM, that's the Invasive Species Awareness Month, posts with your network to spread the word. Municipalities and organizations can organize events held virtually or safely in person. Submit your events for ISCBC to promote and check out the Partner Toolkit. So it's you can just look up, Google BC Invasive Species Action Month and see what you come up with. And because they'll give you all sorts of things to look for, both in plants and in insects and other things like that.
Yeah, I get the newsletter. So they have a newsletter that comes out once a month, and that's really helpful. Yeah. Sort of see what's going on and what's happening in the community on invasive species. So it's a very, very good idea to learn to identify them and to know what you want to get rid of and what not to save and what not to promote.
Right on.
Because promoting it might be a disaster.
Amber, are we going to take Addie? We're going to take a short break. I think we're going to take a short break. Addie, hang in there, girl, because we love to hear from you. And we're going to take that break because we've got to stay on time here, and we'll be back with more AM 1150. We are back with you, and glad to be here every Saturday morning. We do enjoy being here, and we always enjoy hearing from Addie, one of our long-term listeners and callers. I'm sure it's you, Addie, because there's not many Addies around.
It is me, but I forgot now what I was going to ask you. I've got so long.
Well, that's okay.
Well, thanks for hanging in there. Anyway, it's just nice to hear your voice.
When's your pierogi party? That's what I want to know.
Well, now that my sister can't come from Manitoba, it's probably not going to be till August or so.
Oh boy, yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
When you plant your seeds in those little pucks, you water them and they grow up and you put the seeds into them. The thing I had a problem with this year is that the seeds, especially the sunflower seeds, just grew so tall. What do I do with them?
Well, that's nothing to do with the Jiffy 7 or the Jiffy 9. Those are the two that are common. Those are the little pucks that you get. It wouldn't be anything to do with that. When things stretch, it's usually, Addie, they're warm and they're looking for light, and they stretch to look for that light. And it's a common thing. My sunflowers did the same thing in the greenhouse, but now they're great. I got them outside. And
they are sunflowers, so they do want to be tall, right?
Yeah.
Like mine.
So should I put them outside now? Will they? I'm just going to. They're probably about 2 inches tall, and it happened so quick. Yeah. I planted them on Monday, and by Wednesday, there they were.
Yeah. Well, you can put them out. Just don't put them directly in the hot sun at the moment because they'll burn.
Work them into it.
Yeah. Work them out.
Mine, I have some that just grow naturally just by seed outside, and they're already up and growing about 3 inches high, and they're just naturalized. So they just.
You mean I can put them? I can put even seeds in the soil now. It's not too early.
Oh, they'll grow.
They'll be fine, but you want to just protect them from the hot sun when you first put them out because they'll just turn. They'll blanch. They'll turn white.
Yeah. Okay. My other question is cactus. Is it too early to put out my cactus during the day?
This is your Schlumbergia, your Christmas cactus?
No, not the Christmas cactus. Just the ordinary big tall cactus, the desert type.
Oh, cactus. The desert cactus? I've got all mine out. They're all out and happy.
Yeah.
For the daytime and at night too.
Yeah. Oh,
wonderful! Because I've got a huge one that it's probably about 6 feet tall. It's got to go out.
Yeah. Well, just remember this, Addie. You still have a chance of frost between now and the 24th of May. I mean, a slight chance because really she's looking good.
Tonight, they're actually saying.
Well, not on my thing, Ken. On my weather channel here that I've got, it says tonight will be 4 above.
Yeah, that's what I was just to hear. So,
yeah. Did you read the with the chance of frost?
Well,
because mine said 3 above with a chance of frost.
Yeah.
But when it says chance of frost, I think, chance of frost.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But if it's on a deck and a roof, or a roof over top,
I don't think you've got a problem.
It should be okay.
No,
so can the Christmas cactus go outside too then?
Yep. Yes.
Wow, great! That'll clear some room in my house.
Clear up some room. My greenhouse is looking really spacious now, and I can grow all my little tomato plants that I've got. People are waiting for, and I can grow all my little cucumber plants, and I can grow.
Just follow Don's advice on that. It's going to be the sunburn that's going to get them. So even on a cactus,
Yeah, on my deck, they can go in the shade for a long time, and then 3 or 4 days later, they will get used to the sun, and I can put them out.
Perfect.
And Addie, I burnt sunburnt, and it's been in the greenhouse. And I put it out and got it in the sun. My Beaucarnea, my ponytail palm.
No.
But it'll be fine. It'll be fine. It'll get through it. But I did burn some fronds on that. The new growth was really tender, and a lot of it's turned white. So, yeah.
So when you're putting them out into the sun, what I started doing is by putting them first in the shade for about 2 or 3 days, and then putting them out maybe for an hour a day closer into the sun.
You've been listening to Ken and I all these years, and that's where you got that information.
Yeah.
Well,
we don't always practice what we preach.
That wasn't your idea.
we don't necessarily do it right, but nice to hear that you have success.
I was the one that told you that, though, wasn't I?
Probably.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Okay, dear. Thank you, Addie.
Yeah, thanks for calling. Bye-bye. Happy Mother's Day.
Yeah, happy Mother's Day, Addie. And, on that note, we're going to wish everyone a happy Mother's Day. And, whether you're a mother or not a mother, you still mother something. And, moms are great. Now, dads are too. Father's Day's coming up. And I just want to remind my kids, Father's Day's coming up. And I have now got myself a metal lathe. And,
you might need accessories.
Accessories. They say the same amount of money you spend on the metal lathe, you're going to spend on accessories for the metal lathe. So a lot of these accessories are small little things like dial gauges and things like that aren't really expensive. So I've actually given the kids a list of various accessories that I might need.
Very nice.
For the metal lathe. But in the old days, I remember saying this, that Mother's Day was so busy for us. I mean, at the garden center, we were just going run off our feet with sales, spring sales, and the flower shop was busy too. Father's Day comes along, and what do you get? A pair of socks, maybe a tie or something?
Sometimes a fruit tree. I remember when we were in the
That's
business,
right?
right?
That's right.
Fruit trees, we'd
Fruit
sell.
trees.
People would buy fruit trees
on Father's Day.
Their dads, yeah.
So give them something
to do.
Give them
something to do.
That's right. Absolutely. Well, you know what I'm doing? I'm going to pull an executive decision here because there's no callers right now, and we do invite your calls, 250-862-2525. Amber, let's take a break, take a short break, and then we've got a little bit more time after the break to talk to callers when they call in. And that's what we like to do here on The Garden Show. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to be back with more AM 1150 Garden. We are back, and we've got plenty of time. We've got 15 minutes to answer your calls. We've got a couple of people waiting. The first one online is Joan. Good morning, Joan.
Good morning, Don.
How are you?
I'm good. I have an oriental lily. Well, I've got 3 of them in a big pot, but one has 3 little riders coming up, and I was thinking of getting rid of them, but my son said, why do you not just take it out and take them off?
You got little babies, right?
Yeah.
Little
I'm
pups.
thinking that should probably be done in the fall.
Yeah, that's when you want to do that transplant, take the babies out and put them in their separate spots and keep the main one in that pot.
Yeah. Is that going to affect it now with blooming? Because last year they were just absolutely beautiful. I got the red one with the white tips.
Yeah, that's your red with the white tips. Ooh, that's a beauty. Joan, that should not, the fact that it's had babies should not affect the main bulb and its production of a nice blossom for you this year. It shouldn't bother you.
Yeah, I've got the card that came in the pot these I've had for 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't remember when it bloomed last year.
Well, it'll in June.
Mm-hmm.
It'll start showing itself in June for you. Another month.
Yeah.
Yep.
Last year it was. I have 3 in a great big pot, like I say, and it was just full of blooms.
Yeah, and that's a great way to grow lilies and enjoy them, Joan, because when you have them in the ground, sometimes they're off in the back 40, and you don't know, you don't visit them that often. But if you have them in a pot, you can put them where you frequent in the daytime and enjoy them. Like with us, it's on our patio, and we put them there and enjoy the fragrance, enjoy the, just all that stuff.
Yeah, and that's where I have it, right by my door when I go out. It's just beautiful.
Yeah, you betcha, Joan.
Yeah, very nice.
So, yeah, fall time, I guess, is the time to do that.
Fall to split them up, yes.
Okay, that's what I needed to hear from a professional.
Okay, Joan, thank you for the call. We appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Thanks
Thank
for calling. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah, that's the thing with lilies. I know I've got quite a few lilies, and some of them have gotten to be about 3 feet across now. And I get lots of little baby ones shooting up and lots of big ones shooting up. And I think some of the big ones sometimes die off over time, but there's new younger ones coming on, and they get bigger, and they replace the old ones. And they're really nice. Great. Yeah, I love them.
Great to have a collection. Now, we want to talk to Wendy. Good morning. Thanks for joining us, Wendy.
Good morning. I have a new neighbor, and they in front of their property is assigned to the neighborhood. There's a couple of barberry bushes there. It's a burgundy one with the red berries, and because they haven't been taken care of in a long time, they've gotten tall and scraggly, and we'd like them, can we cut them back to be shorter and bushier?
Barberries are real prunable. We used to grow barberry hedges, right, Ken?
Oh, yeah.
Now, there's different varieties of barberry. Some want to get pretty big. I've seen some like Rose Glow and some Ruby Carousel. Those guys, they get to be quite big plants.
Yeah, 8 feet or so.
Yeah, big
7,
plants.
8 feet.
So, some of these varieties, it's more difficult to keep them down and small. Right plant, right place is usually what we talk about. And some of the barberries, like Concord and Royal Burgundy and the little Gold Nugget and
they stay small.
Sensation is also not too big, is
But with this one, maybe it just needs rejuvenating and get some new growth on it. So you can just cut the whole thing down to about 2 feet high, and then let it shoot up from the bottom, and hopefully it'll come back and look great again.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, it's just gotten scraggly because nobody's taking care of it.
There you go.
And, it just doesn't look nice.
Wendy, wear gloves.
Yes.
Yeah.
Welding mitts. Welding
gloves, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome, Wendy. Thanks for the call.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, it's one thing, a lot of folks that I speak to and do some design work for, and there's a couple of things you mentioned, juniper, and right away they gag, because and I don't blame them, because there's a lot of junipers out there you don't want to use. There are two or three. There's 2 or 3 that I really recommend, highly recommend. And barberry, you mentioned barberry. Oh, I hate barberry. They're so prickly. I can't prune them and that.
Don't touch them.
Then don't touch them. Just buy the barberry that's going to fit in the spot.
Yeah, and then walk away, because that's the end of the job right there. Yep. That's the beauty of the dwarf plants. They're slower growing. They take longer to fill in, but you don't do anything with them. And that's sort of I would say, like the secret to low maintenance gardening is just really putting the right plant in the right place. Pick the good plants. Pick dwarf varieties if you can, so they stay small. Like, why would you pick a big plant and put it in a small place? Like,
Ken,
it doesn't make sense.
You got to see my little dwarf mugo pine this year.
Oh, you got a little, you got that tiny one.
And it's doing so well. I did go in and trim the candles off just to keep it nice and short, because it isn't growing that. I mean, I've had it in there 10 years, and it's only this big.
Yeah, so it's about
foot and a half,
14 inches,
maybe 14
16?
inches. Yeah. The other thing is, one of my favorite plants in my garden is my Tom Thumb Cotoneaster. Cotoneaster apiculatus Tom Thumb. It's one of the groups of cranberry cotoneasters.
They get bigger berries on them, right?
Yeah. And I'm telling you, Ken, I just enjoy these so much.
Well, when they flower, they're lovely.
Never touched
them. The bees go absolutely crazy for cotoneaster flowers.
Yeah, I never touch them, never trim them. They're just nice mounding, and I've got them in front of my Japanese maple, the Acer palmatum dissectum, my little Well, it's not little anymore. It's big. I always get a kick out of my good friend and your good friend, my brother-in-law, Don Stoles.
Oh, yes, yeah.
We put our Acer palmatum dissectum atropurpureum in together. Like he put one in and I put one in. Very small plants, right? And about 3 years, 4 years in, big snowfall.
Yep.
Both of them split.
Yeah, got crushed. Crushed by the snow.
So they split in that crotch, right? Donnie, boy, anything goes bad, it's gone.
Yep.
He says, I've ruined my plant, it's gone. I didn't tell him.
Yeah.
Because I didn't even know his was messed up, but I showed him later what I did. I got a stainless steel bolt and 2 big fender washers, and I bent the fender washers to conform to the trunk, and I drilled a hole through, and I tightened that right back up again.
Put her back.
Didn't put any pruning paint or anything on that because it's not the way to go. And do you know, Ken, that you can't see the bolts, you can't see the fender washers, everything's occluded around them, everything's it's just a perfect plant right now.
And that's the key, isn't it? Using stainless steel.
Yeah.
That's the key.
Yeah. You don't want it rusting, and you don't want it to. Yeah. It's a job I did. I took pictures of the process, and it's worked out very, very well.
Do you have the pictures now of it all healed up? Then
I do. I but there's nothing really to see because it just looks like a joint of a regular tree now. But I did take pictures subsequent years after I did the operation. I did some pictures just to show how that all worked. And I was very pleased with it. And
change in plants is slow, and I think that's the thing. Like humans want everything so fast and instant, but the plants are something. It's all about anticipation. You know, you're always waiting for the thing to leaf out, or waiting for it to bloom, or waiting for it to grow, and they just go at their own speed, and it's generally kind of slow.
They have a mind of their own, Ken.
Yeah. For them, they're still babies when they're 20 years old, so they're just getting going, on some plants. Yeah. So the beautiful thing, I think, about growing perennials, herbaceous perennials, is they don't take that long to get going. They take a little more care, and after 3 or 4 years, you have to do some divisions, and rejuvenate them a bit, but they sure respond quickly. It's kind of nice.
Heliopsis helianthoides. For a long time, I was calling it Helianthus helianthoides, but it's not. It's Heliopsis. Heliopsis helianthoides. And the one I have, and that's the problem with plants, big problem. I got this one from a client. I saw it in her yard, and I asked her for a piece of it, and I put it in my yard. Now I got a big plant, right? You can't find them at the nurseries.
No, but they do seed around. So the seedlings, you can, if you see them, save them.
Mine doesn't do that.
Is yours a tall one?
Very tall.
It will seed. You'll get seedlings. You got to keep an eye peeled. Quit weeding. You're weeding out all the good ones.
Interesting.
Or maybe
have to have a look.
You're probably a deadheader.
No,
you deadheaders. You're all like
Donna picks them for cut flowers, but it's an amazing thing.
Yeah, they really are long bloomer. And that's where the smaller ones are nice. Like that Lorraine Sunshine is a variegated one, and it really blooms nicely. And it only gets, I think, about 30 inches or so.
Now I'm going to get the tall one. So now I'm going to propagate mine.
There you go.
Yeah. So I think we've got on calling in. We have Mason B. Pam on the line. Good morning, Mason B. Pam.
Hello, Don. Hi, Ken.
Good morning.
I actually have a garlic question for you today. I've got some lovely garlic growing. I'm actually really surprised how quickly it went from like little green tips in the late winter to pretty impressive looking plants. Now, I'm just curious because it's using up territory in my limited bed space until at least like the end of beginning of July. Is there anything that I might be able to plant in between the garlics? So I'm not feeling like, I'm just sort of biding my time,
I've got radishes. I've got radishes, and this was accidentally because this particular row of garlic hadn't come up yet, and I'd forgotten I'd put garlic in there. So I planted early, about a month ago, I planted radishes, and they're coming up with the garlic, and everybody's happy. Radishes and carrots. Yep.
Okay.
And,
okay.
And by the time the garlic is ready to pull, the radishes are pretty much done, and then you can pull the garlic and put some more radishes in.
Right. Yeah, because I'm just trying, it's when you have nothing but space, you can just keep on adding rows of things. And isn't it just the bane of a gardener's existence that there's always more seeds that you want to plant than you have room to plant?
Well,
especially when you have containers.
Well, especially when you're hungry. Nothing like going into the garden center looking for seeds or plants, and you come home with these bags of stuff that enough to plant an acre just because you didn't eat your lunch before you went.
Yes. And I also just wanted to put a note out to those who might not even be thinking about how they are helping pollinators. But right now I'm looking out my window and I'm seeing lots of beautiful lilacs blooming, and of course primulas are out, and irises are coming soon, and the blossoms in the orchards are quite in full bloom. But one of the most striking things I have in my yard, which is I almost consider it a piece of art, is a kale plant that went to seed. My husband looked out last week. He says, "You've got a tree growing in your garden container." I said, "A tree?" And I said, "No, that's not a tree. That's a kale, but it's about 4 feet tall." And it's got branching leaves. It kind of looks like a person in tree pose, in yoga, with your arms up. And the yellow flowers are just beautiful. They're almost like they're backlit. And I know that's a blessing to all the pollinators, all the bees out there. And it's actually kind of pretty. It's last year's kale.
They're a biennial, I guess. It must be a biennial, because if they're blooming this year.
They do bloom, and the blooms are delicious too, by the way. If you're just nibbling on a few kale blooms, they're really yummy.
And the kale, I have stripped off most of the leaves of the edible big leaves, and they are the best.
Right.
Because they've overwintered and they've been tempered, and they're not at all bitter, and they're so tender.
And they're clean, we got to move on here, Pam, because we got a couple of callers coming in. But I'll tell you this, my spinach that overwintered is the best spinach we've ever had. It's fabulous. It's just growing like crazy. There's no leaf miner. It's clean, whatever. But we're going to have to move on. We got another couple of callers. Thank you for the call, Pam. We always love to hear from you.
Have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.
You too.
Thanks,
Bye-bye now. And we're going to we've got time for one of the callers here. We've got Edwin. Good morning, Edwin.
Good morning.
How are you this morning?
Question. Now, you're going to talking to a grade 1 here about garlic, so you're going to have to be really, simple, for me. How do I start and grow garlic? I know you got to get those non-nuke bulbs, but you can buy them from a garden center, like the Growy Garden garlics, but there's no green shoots coming out of them yet. So what's the deal here? What do I do?
Well, any garlic that you buy right now that have cloves, you can plant them. I just planted a bunch. I normally plant, Edwin, my garlic in the fall.
Right.
And, the garlic is usually planted on Thanksgiving Day. That's what we do. Isn't it? It's Thanksgiving, right? But however, I just planted this spring a bunch of garlic that I bought at the store. Our Donna actually, where'd she buy them? She bought a whole bag full of garlic from Costco or something. And so she was using it, of course, in culinary practice. But I stole a couple of the bulbs and split them up, took the cloves and planted them out in the garden. So I'll have some late garlic this year as well. So that's all you do.
So you don't put the great big round one, and you got to bust them up.
Oh, you bust them
little pieces.
Yeah,
and
you take
them in?
individual toes. You take those toes off and plant them about 5-6 inches apart.
About 3 inches deep.
And 3 inches deep.
Yeah.
And they don't have to have any green shoots on them to stick them in the dirt?
Yep.
Nope.
Stick them in
They'll
the dirt.
just
Stick them in.
Yep.
Point up, though. That helps.
Yeah, the root side down. There's a little root receptacle at the bottom of each piece that goes downwards. But, they'll just root in and grow. And, again, normal time, like I say, plant in Thanksgiving and harvest about mid-July or so. And if you're planting now, you'd probably be harvesting more like in early August or maybe a little bit later.
Yep.
Yeah.
So they'll still grow, and I just want them to grow in the garden because of the smell and, so they're beautiful.
Oh, you bet.
You bet, yeah.
You got her, Edwin.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Thanks,
All right,
sir.
good luck.
Thanks for the call. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Now, Amber, we're going to take that break now, right? We're going to take a short break, and we are going to talk. When we come back, we're going to talk. Who is it? Czech? Yeah, we're going to talk to that person when we come back with more AM 1150 Garden Show. Okay, we've got a caller named Chuck on the line. Was that correct?
It's Chuck.
That's what I thought too. Chuck with an accent.
It's
Chuck with an accent.
And I thought my name when I talked to Amber. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, another
I have a couple of questions.
I just was worried you were a bad chick.
Yeah. There you go. No. There you go.
Okay.
Anyhow, a young chick.
There you go. What can I do for you? What can we do for you?
How soon can I plant geraniums out in the pots?
I think you can put them out now. I got all mine out. Where are you located,
Have
Chuck?
you?
Yeah, where are you located?
Oh, I'm in a condo right across from the superstore.
Oh yeah. You can put them. You can put them out. I mean, still watch it. My dad used to tell me a story. It froze on the 24th of May, but he said it was a cool spring. That the temperature was hovering around the freezing mark for quite a while, and then all of a sudden it was a clear night, and it went down to minus something. Well, in those days, it was probably went down to about 29 or something Fahrenheit.
Right.
But no, Chuck, geraniums are tough too. I mean, you get
They're
them out
pretty
there.
tough.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, I can cover them if I hear the weather's going to get bad. No big deal.
Well, that's right. That's right. And it's not going to get bad enough to hurt them. I'm so confident. I've got all my tropicals and everything outside now and on my patio. And
wow.
Yeah, I've got them all out. I'm throwing caution to the wind, but I'm keeping my eyes open. I mean, I'm watching the weather like a hawk because
always
there's still a chance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Now, beans in the garden. How soon can we get those in?
Well, I think you can get them in pretty soon. The interesting thing, I put beans in real early, about a month ago. And my tip of the week, which I got egg in my face, was
I remember that.
Plant your beans, right? Well, then I went home and I looked at the package on the Stokes package, read the label, and on the Stoke package, Stoke seeds, there's a lot of really good information. And I read this thing, and it said, don't plant your beans till the beginning of June. And then plant every month, plant a new batch, right? So that you got them coming on in stages. Well, heavens. My beans are up.
I don't doubt it.
They're up.
I mean, the weather's good, and where our garden is, it's over in Rutland. Every time we go there, it feels like it's summertime. Yeah. It's so warm.
That's right.
We'll put them in.
There you go, Chuck.
Thanks very much for your help. Really appreciate it. You guys have a good rest of the day.
Yeah, you too. We're great to hear from you. Take
Thanks
care.
Bye-bye
now.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was Chuck.
That's the thing. But something like beans, you put them in, and then if some of them fail, you put them in again. And if they come on great, then you enjoy. But then you put in another run, like you say. Probably about 2 weeks apart or something like that would be adequate.
Well, a lot of times when people say, "When do I plant my garden?" I said, "Every day."
Yeah, daily.
Every day you're planting something.
Yeah, and you can get stuff in really early, like like even the peas and stuff. Like some people plant their peas in the fall. Well, what about
that's
that?
right.
And they come up like crazy early. Yeah.
Lathyrus. Ken, I can't tell you how great that spinach is that overwintered. It was just a very short row, this about 1.5 feet long, maybe 30 centimeters long, and I'm telling you, they are so good. We've been picking for beet salad and spinach salad.
Yeah,
spinach this and spinach that on our sandwiches. And not that I eat many sandwiches anymore. I'm trying to stay off bread, but I love bread. But anyway, we won't go there. I love bread. I love muffins. I love cookies. I love carbs. I'm a carb guy.
Yeah,
I love carbs.
You're carbonated.
Yep. Oh, speaking of which, for my birthday, I got one of those carbonation things where you put CO2.
Yeah, the fabulous idea.
Oh, Ken.
They are one of the best ideas.
I'm telling you. And I mean, I seal it up, put it in the fridge. It'll stay in the fridge for days, and I open it up, still fizzy. Yeah,
works really good, we have one of those as well.
Yeah, makes you burp. But
apparently.
Yeah. Well, we've had a great time today, and I'm looking forward to going home and trying to get my my metal lathe up on my bench. It's 400 pounds, Ken. It's a 400-pound lathe.
Take a deep breath. put on your belt and cinch it up a notch, and you'll be good to go.
I borrowed my good friend's engine hoist. I think that's going to be.
Yeah,
it's one of those collapsible engine hoists, so I can get it through the door. I made a cart for this thing. It's in my garage right now. I made a cart so I can bring it around with a cart, get it into the shop.
How much do you think that thing could lift?
The engine hoist?
Probably like 1,000 pounds. More than that. 5,000
pounds.
Really?
Oh yeah.
And it's collapsible.
Yeah. Wow. Oh no, it lifts a lot. I had an engine hoist myself for a long time, and I used it to extract London plane tree roots in my backyard. When I had to get rid of my London plane tree, I had a gentleman come in and grind the thing out. But of course, that didn't grind. You didn't chase the roots down.
Yeah.
So
just pull them out.
I'll tell you, it was a job. But I got this engine hoist out there, and I put a chain around the roots and up it goes and pulled the roots out. Worked well. It worked well. It was a tough job to do, but I got it done.
Well, there you go. That's something, because I have something to lift that I might have to lift a short distance. It's potentially a tree, but I just want to be able to straighten it up in the hole, because once it goes in the hole, it's going to be hard to adjust it. So it'd be nice to have something like that. Do you have to straddle the tree to lift it, or does it stick out front a bit?
The legs straddle out, and then the hoist itself is above that, because that's holding the weight. The feet are like this, and then it's got the thing
in the middle.
Yeah,
right.
It works well.
There you go. Great idea. Write that down, everyone.
You betcha. I think we're getting close to the end of the show today, Ken, and we want to thank all the folks that called in. We've got Louise and Phil and Linda and Dan and Linda again, and Angie sent us a request by email. Henry and Peter and Joan and Wendy, and again Chuck. Chuck was a great caller. Oh, they're all great callers. We enjoy hearing from everyone, and that's what we're going to do again, all over again next week. It'll, right this Saturday it was show number 1794. So next week it'll be 1795. We're inching towards 1800. And on that note, let's do the tips and plants of the week, Ken.
You betcha.
And just before that, a big shout out to my Auntie Kay, who is listening hopefully on Saturday mornings. She's a mom as well. I forgot about Auntie Kay. Tip of the week. So you've just brought home a new hanging basket. Make sure it doesn't dry out like what happened to us, and begin a feeding program sooner than later. And my plant of the week is one you'll see all over town. That's the Cercis canadensis, the redbud, the eastern redbud, a fabulous plant.
Beautiful tree. All right, I also have a tip on a plant. My tip of the week is that when watering plants that are in pots, cover the entire surface of the soil with your watering can. So cover it all with a nice moistening, and then let it sit for about 5 minutes. Then come back and actually give it a good watering. And that's the best way to approach watering containers. So 2 waterings, one to moisten the surface and one to actually water it. All right, my plant of the week is the Primula auricula, which is one of the most beautiful little plants that blooms in the spring. I'll be putting some pictures up on Instagram and Facebook, so if anybody follows Grower Coach at Facebook or Instagram, you'll see those pictures come up. I just have a nice little collection. I just want to get those up for people to see. It's a beautiful plant, one of my favorites. And remember, if you're interested in planting annual planters and baskets, we do have our webinar today that's on. Go to growercoach.com, click the learning button, click the webinar, and you're in. All you have to do is sign up, and we send you the email link just before 1 o'clock today, and you can get in on the planter webinar. There you go.
Fabulous.
That's my tips and plants.
Beautiful, Ken. Just a shout out to Alan Reed, Hazeldale Orchards. He's out on his tractor doing some leaf roller control today.
Oh, yeah.
And he listens to the garden shows. Hey, Alan and Wendy, good job you do there at Hazeldale Orchards. And, just want to remind people the trip to Chelsea is going to happen. And a year from now, we're going to be going to Chelsea in London and up to the Floriade show up in Amsterdam, and you want to call Marlin Travel and ask for Gail. Marlin Travel, ask for Gail, and she will tell you all about it. And on that note, we got to go to Shigo. My Shigo quote of the week is 100 million carbon atoms in a line it's 100 million, Ken, in a line, would measure about 3 centimeters, a little over an inch.
Wow.
100 million carbon atoms would measure 3 centimeters.
Unbelievable.
100 million, that's a lot. 100 million. It's not a billion. It's only 100 million. It's a tenth of a billion.
Million. Yeah.
Okay. If I had a million carbon atoms... No, that's not a song. That's If I Had $1 Million. Anyway, we're going to say goodbye. That was the Bare Naked Ladies that did that song.
Yes, it was.
We're going to say goodbye, and we look forward to seeing you again next week with more AM 1150 Garden Show.